Hi, I'm Logan.
And welcome to Box Office Brews, the review channel where we talk about this month's most anticipated movies.
So this is our June episode. I feel like the summer months are flying by.
It's hot in here.
It's really hot, it's so warm, it's super humid where we're recording, and we have our two really hot construction lights going on.
We're testing out our new digital sweat filter.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. So what did we watch this month, Logan?
Man, oh jeez.
I like we're getting into the months where there's so much to choose from. It actually became a little bit difficult.
Yeah, you know, there's something, my stomach feels a little bit weird, and it's not like, maybe it's the weather, but you know what it is? It's like last month we had, I think it was purely like sequels and reboots, and this month we actually have two original movies.
It's weird.
And it's like when you don't eat like good food for a while, and then you eat something like really rich, and you're like, oh god, that's too much for my stomach to handle. Because this month, I think there's only two movies. We've got Wonder Woman, which we'll be talking about first. That's obviously...
that's always the most anticipated. We're a month late on that one, so I'm sure you've already seen everyone else's reviews, but we'll talk about
so
it.
that's our comic book movie, and then the other movie is The Mummy, which is our other adaptation.
Right.
Which we'll be talking about as well. And then our two original movies, which we discussed last month that we were pretty excited for, are A24's It Comes at Night, and of course, Edgar Wright, written and directed Baby Driver, which we're both super stoked for.
We've been excited about that one for a couple months now.
Yeah.
We actually just saw it last night, so it's fresh in our minds and in our hearts. And
We're really excited to talk about it.
So we're going to talk about, I'm pumped about that one. That'll be our last review. Maybe we should get a rag to wipe our brows off, and then let's just jump into
Let's dive into it.
Wonder Woman. If you don't want to watch a review for every movie, because we will get into some mild spoilers, just check the links in the description to get to the timestamps to the movie you want to what you want to watch. We will, of course, warn you when we have spoilers, so just keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
All right.
Pay attention.
All right. We made a decision.
There's still plenty of discussion to go, Alex. This movie is difficult to talk about.
It is.
But I think with a movie like this, it has a lot more to do with the cultural implications and the implications it has on the industry, the movie industry, the comic book movie industry altogether. That's more important than talking about it like as a movie, as a whole like experience altogether. So I think. Thank you.
Why does it sound like we're treading on glass here?
All right, so let me just
can we get the elephant out of the room?
Let me just get this out of the way. Okay, so this movie to me is a good example of like the question: what do we look at when you say a movie is good? I go into every movie looking at the story. I always say like if a movie is good or bad, I look at it like, you know, if it was a good screenplay or a bad.
More to the point, even it's sometimes did it hold my interest?
Yeah.
Was it something that I for good, for better, for worse, it held my attention, and I wanted to see what happens. Maybe not. I don't need a good outcome or bad outcome. I just want an outcome, and it keeps me glued.
And I will say, I did not like this movie, I think, at all. But I have to. This is like I think I'm forced into giving this a thumbs up because of the cultural implications of it.
I agree with you, but again weeks ago I decided I didn't like this movie.
Yeah.
But it does not deserve a mugs down. I was like,
it kind of does.
I don't know. I don't think that's fair because I think it was directed very well. I mean, it had a decent structural flow to it. I just think a lot of the meat and stuff that was in it was kind of missing.
When we get into spoilers, I will completely explain why this movie is a big old dump of garbage. I'm sorry, what are you doing? Is food an aspect of our show now? I didn't realize.
What? This?
Yeah.
This is just a compliment sandwich.
Oh, that's very clever. What's in it? It looks really good. It
does look good. Not much though. It's pretty shitty actually. I mean, it's kind of empty calories, just like an egg, unmelted cheese, hummus.
How's the bread?
The bread's amazing.
Hi, my name's Logan. What you just experienced was a joke for our YouTube show, Box Office Brews.
Metaphor. We'll get good at this eventually. Well, I originally decided that not only to some of the movie, but I wanted to approach this movie with a compliment sandwich mentality. Good, something positive, negative, positive. There's a
agree.
lot of positives, I think, in this movie.
So let's start with the positives then. How about that?
Okay, starting right out the bat, you've got color. DC movie found a way to turn the color up on their movies. That's great.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, they really bumped that.
So we're on Themyscira, and there's the ladies, and they're all fighting, and there's little wee Wonder Woman, little Diana,
Wonder Woman. Yeah.
and she's watching, and she wants to be a fighter, and it's really cute. I liked all those scenes. I feel like they did a decent job of kind of introducing her character, introducing the world they live in. All the acrobatics were really great.
I'm
like that.
conflicted about the time that they spent at home in the Amazon world, because part of me wanted to see more of it, and part of me thought that intro was way too long.
I agree.
Like,
it was
way
kind of
too
both.
long.
This movie was both simultaneously. It was a contradiction. It was good and bad, and it was long and short, and it was poignant and empty.
I think this movie is an example of like when I feel like the screenplay and the direction were like butting heads the entire time. Like I did not like the screenplay of this movie. It was
I don't either.
Poorly written movie.
There's a lot
the
of
direction was really, really good, and that was some of the best parts about it.
Yes, Patty. What's her name? I don't remember her last name.
Flash it on the screen.
Yeah, she did a great job
she did an
directing,
amazing job.
and I just felt this movie just felt very hollow. I want us to. I'm going to start out right at the bat. My biggest problem with this movie, Wonder Woman herself. I don't think Gal Gadot is a very good actress. But I also don't think that they gave her a lot with the script, frankly. I don't necessarily think it's just her fault. Her character just seems very empty to me. I know she's got that passion to save lives, but that's it. Like, her only driving force is just, we gotta stop Ares because I was told to.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's literally like, you might as well tell a child, evil is out there, go kill evil. And the kid gets a wooden sword and goes like, I'm on it. And that's what this whole movie felt like. Now, I know that the idea of that, there's just sort of this childlike, endearing naivete with her character, where she doesn't really get how the world works. She doesn't really understand how the darkness is sort of integral to people's lives, that kind of stuff. And those are fun lessons and tropes to use in movies and stuff. But her character just seems kind of misty-eyed and blank the whole time. She doesn't really connect with anyone except for with Steve. We get to talk about Steve Rogers from
Chris Pine's
character. I know his name's not Steve Rogers, but
it's Steve Rogers.
I don't know what it is with these World War I characters named Steve.
Wonder Woman was super, like, her as a character was very one note.
I feel like she didn't have an arc.
Her only motivation was, I need to kill Ares, and that line, I need to kill Ares, came up like in every scene.
All the time.
That was the only motivation.
And it was funny because Chris Pine, as a character, he's just like, he kept, like, subduing her like you would a child. Like, it's okay, honey, we're gonna get to Ares. Don't worry about it. But he's lying. He knows he's lying. He's like, I don't know, this bitch is crazy, but she's super powerful, so we'll just go with it.
Those moments kind of worked for me, and that's where we're gonna get into the whole, like, the femme fatale of this movie. We have a female lead, and it's a very, like, female positive movie. And those moments worked for me because she didn't give a shit what anybody else said. There are a lot of moments where she's, like, about to get pushed around, and she's like, fuck no. Like, I'm not letting that happen. I want to go do what I want to do. And those were cool. Like, people kept trying to, like, mansplain things to her, and she shows up and speaking Latin and shit. Like you said earlier, like, she really cares about people. I think we haven't seen that in a superhero movie in a long time. Because it's always like, we will destroy this city to end this enemy's life, but fuck all the civilians that are gonna die. But Wonder Woman's literally like, there's a town full of people that I can save. Like, I'm gonna go out of my way to go do that.
That's
and I feel
true.
like we haven't seen that since, like, Spider-Man 2.
No, I don't know. I'm gonna disagree there because like that's when, like, especially, I don't mean we're going off topic here, but in Ultron, Captain America was like, I'm not leaving this island unless everyone's off it.
But it's still not a central motivation of the character.
Fair enough. She had definitely showed a connection to humanity. I guess the moral, I guess one of the things they keep pointing at in this movie is the idea of, like, her naivete is what makes her endearing in the way that, like, she's like, well, yeah, people are great, and you should always want to protect people. I understand what the problem is. Like, she just doesn't get the problem. She's like, oh, you're all just confused because of Ares. So there's something kind of beautifully simplistic about that, but at the same time, it makes it very difficult for the character to grow at all.
I guess we should talk about the big moments of this movie, because I think when people talk about this movie, they talk about the No Man's Land scene, and the scene where they liberate that town. That is by far that's the trailer moment. That's the moment that I think everyone goes home remembering. But it's the only one in the movie. It's the only moment where I was like, really like, this character's kick ass. And I think it's unfair that that's That's all we were given. The rest of the movie just kind of it crumbles around that one moment of like Wonder Woman taking the lead with her shield, which was very cool. I will say it was fun to watch. Cool. Way too much slow motion. Entirely too much, like very Frank Miller slow motion.
They did the quick movements and then the slowdown. Wow.
I thought we got.
That's kind of cool.
I thought we got past that, but I guess not.
But I'm glad you mentioned that because the problem I had with that, and what to speak to your point, it's not. It wasn't even that it was like it was the only movement, but like. Unlike other superhero movies, we're lacking the major villain in this movie. So the whole time she's fighting other humans. So there's never any real danger. There's never any real, like, you don't need to slow down. She could walk up and push them, and she's not going to get hurt. She's invulnerable, you know what I mean? One of my favorite things about superhero movies is the villain kind of meeting the hero on their level and giving them that fear and that challenge. And that didn't come until, unfortunately, until basically the end of the movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's also sort of in merit of the movie. This isn't your average superhero movie. I think this is the best superhero movie DC's put out in a while.
And I keep hearing that, but that's a low bar to clear.
It is very low, yeah.
So I feel like,
hated
well,
this,
it's the best DC movie. I'm like, okay.
I still hated this movie, but it's still, I liked it better than Thor. I like it better than most recent Marvel movies that I've seen, just because it was different. It gave me a little taste of something a little bit more special, but it was still.
It felt like mile wide, inch deep. Like I said, it's not a bad movie, but it's not a great movie. I don't think it deserved like, oh my. I heard things that were like, this is the future of comic movies. This is the best. I'm like,
can we?
I was a little bored by a lot of scenes and a lot.
Do we want to get into spoilers? Is there anything else that we?
I feel like we may have done a little bit, but I guess we'll just go.
This is again to recap. This
because I want to talk about the end.
This movie has so much more to do with the cultural implications than
it really does.
I guess if we're gonna get into spoilers, check the timestamp in the description. It's spoilers time. I'm gonna do an unprecedented switch mid-review.
Whoa.
This movie fucking sucks so bad. I hated everything about the last act of this movie.
I agree.
So there is a big, like, okay.
I'm not gonna do what you just
again.
I'll be copying.
Again, this movie, really, really fun, very funny. You know,
this movie falls apart in the final act.
The very final act.
So, okay, I keep mentioning how she didn't have an arc. Her I guess, eventual, actual, if you want to call it an arc, mini arc, was almost like her character is like a flat line and has a little beep at the end. And that's what that felt like, is when she finally realizes that Ares is like, nah, people suck, man. I don't do this shit. I gave them a little help, but they're totally fine. Kicking themselves to the curb all the time. It doesn't mean me at all. So she's like, oh my god, I've been so naive. But then in reality, she's like, well, I still have to kill Ares, though. So nothing really changed?
It was so...
She didn't learn anything.
It was so rocky at the end. So basically, at the end of the movie, spoilers, you figure out that the main villain they've been chasing for the entire movie is a red herring. He's not the real villain at all. He's just an evil German dude with his accomplice,
that's what it is. I forgot about that.
Dr. Poison or whatever.
She's convinced that guy is Ares.
Yeah. And we'll put his face and name on the screen, whatever.
The German dude who played... he did a great job. I like the German scientist, the poison woman.
Those characters were great, but what's so frustrating is they spend so much time on those characters. They go to a gala, and I think the only reason the gala scene exists is to see Gal Gadot in a dress with the sword, that trailer moment. That's the only reason the gala scene exists, especially when you find out that the German character is a red herring. It's, oh my god, it's literally
on his own.
It erases the first entire bit of the movie.
I don't mind that, though. That's a classic trope, and I think it worked. What I think is hilarious is that it just wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
Why did you need to throw me off?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because in the end she ends up fighting the dude anyway. And I just want to talk real briefly about how. Okay, so it turns out like that Ares is actually the quiet British dude with a little mustache.
I wrote that as name. So Ares, the god of war. They cast David Thewlis, Mr. British T. Crump Bottom, as the villain.
When he reveals that he's Ares, he continues to be Ares with his little British face and his little mustache. I was like, oh my god, put a helmet on. Wait, are you serious right now?
And
I cannot take you seriously as a villain. He's like, I'm the god of war. Governor.
So that's the big twist, is that this dumpy British pale British dude was the god of war, and then they do a flashback and they go back in time, and he's still the British dude.
I was like, I'm pretty sure Ares should be able to
he could
morph or
something. And then it goes full CGI. Like there's been no CGI at any point in this movie, and then in the last act he goes straight like Toys R Us action figure. and makes this like crazy suit of armor, and it's just
out of like scrap.
To me, that was just a big nuclear bomb going off in this movie.
It's true.
And I was like, I cannot.
Because to be fair, it's ironic because the tension kind of dissolves. Even though that should be the most tension-filled moment, I'm like, well, obviously she's gonna beat him. I don't care. This fight had no meaning.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I just didn't give a shit.
They throw in that one little bit of like sad when Chris Pine flies up in the plane and then shoots all the poison.
Oh,
and
yeah,
that's like the one moment where we're supposed to be sad.
And she's like, no,
or something. I don't. Yeah. And it's your.
And then she gets
very
strong.
Again, I've been praising this movie because it's a different superhero movie, and then the last 20 minutes it becomes every
other
superhero movie.
But not even a superhero movie. Like it's almost like a child's movie.
Yeah. There was one moment where I thought we would be taught a really cool lesson because she fucking drives a sword right into the chest of the German guy who we think is the villain, which is the most violent death I think I've ever seen. She kills him, and I thought there was going to be this like really cool moment because she basically discovers like, well, first of all, she thought he was Ares, and she thought that all the fighting would just end.
Yeah, that would be fun.
So I thought there was going to be this really cool moment where it's like, no, like we don't live in a comic book. Like people are just evil. Like that's just how people are on Earth. And I thought it was going to be this very like human moment where Diana would learn like so much about the world, but then it throw it away because Ares actually exists, and when he does die, the war's over.
Oh, like, you're saying like maybe Ares should have been an idea.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it would, and then they would have just fought to like
it's something that you're always fighting.
Exactly.
It's about, and then maybe what he would like Chris Pine's character was talking about the whole movie where he's like, sometimes you just lose.
Exactly.
Sometimes you just can't fight.
I think that would have been such a cool ending to
agree.
Teach a more human lesson. And then the whole end of the movie was basically, please go see Justice League. Please go see Justice League. We're begging you. We spent a lot of money to put all these little details of Wayne Enterprises in here. It's coming out soon. Please go see Justice League. The only last thing I'll say is my favorite joke in the movie was when she got the ice cream and she's like, "You should be proud."
Yes, and that was the
best joke of the movie.
They did that in one of the cartoons.
Oh, really?
And Diana loves ice cream, and she's like, "You should be proud of this triumph." And there's like a little girl, and she's like, "Would you like some ice cream?" And he's like, "Ice cream is wonderful." I'm like, I love that. That was great. It was
laugh out loud moments.
And it was one of the few defining moments for a character. You're like, oh wow, she's like, she has a personality and stuff.
Do you realize what we just did? We went full compliment sandwich on this review. We started off positive. I ranted insanely, and yeah, we did it. The bit where I will actually take a bite. I'm a little hungry.
Oh my! No, it's been a long day. But
anyway, this movie's horribly written, but it's a fun romp.
With the bread is great.
Mm-hmm. Well, now that we got that out of our system,
what's next?
We got The Mummy.
With Brendan Fraser?
No, this is the one with Tom Cruise. It's the new one. It's the Mummy.
Again.
Yeah. It's the sleeper hit everybody's waiting for. I think it's gonna be great, personally. Oh boy. It finally came. It's finally here, the movie everybody's been waiting for. It's The Mummy. What do you have to say? Let's get right into this. Right out the gate.
I'm trying a new thing where I'm like trying to be quiet and reserved. It's not working because my energy comes from how stupid things are and how much I hate things. So coming from a reserved point of view, this movie was hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This movie was a mistake.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
What the hell? Okay. Let me just set up the premise, right? So what's a mummy, right? You got a mummy you got a person in ancient Egypt who's wrapped up, and there's usually some sort of evil associated with them, some sort of hex, and they're either interrupted from their sleep or they're released. In this case, it's a release from prison, from mummy prison type thing, and so this creature comes back, feeds on people to come back to life, and then what? I guess just be evil. This movie took itself pretty seriously. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that hurt it. But right away, it kind of starts out with this campy banter between Oscar Isaac, right? Because I didn't know he was in this movie. Was that Oscar Isaac?
Who was he again?
He was Tom Cruise's buddy in crime.
Oh, the New Girl guy.
Oh, that wasn't Oscar Isaac. It was a guy. No. That's right. He was from New Girl. I knew I recognized him.
Yeah.
He looks like Oscar Isaac.
What the hell?
I think he looks like Oscar Isaac a little bit.
I have no idea. We'll throw it on the screen. It's New Girl Guy. He's the bud.
So he's our comic relief. So this movie basically, it starts out with Tom Cruise and New Girl Guy being, you know what? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Here's the bottom line. I actually really liked the first half of this movie. I thought that they set up the characters really well.
Yeah.
I thought that the premise seemed pretty solid. Here's a woman in the past. Well, magic is real. She basically sold her soul to the devil to become this evil mistress because she wanted to take over Egypt.
She wanted to be the
queen /
ruler of Egypt.
They stopped her from basically almost unleashing...
becoming immortal or whatever.
Well, not even just her, but she was going to unleash the devil within the body of this dude that she was fucking.
Vessel. Yeah.
And they mummify her live, which is basically not mummification.
The first mistake they made.
That's wrapping someone up and throwing them in a pit. Exactly. That's not mummification.
Yeah. If they just cut her head off, this movie wouldn't have happened. Yeah.
Everything about this movie seems really fun and interesting, and she's just evil, and Tom Cruise accidentally brings her back from the dead, so to speak. You know, so... But this movie takes a hard left turn about halfway through. I feel like you can't really talk much about this movie without getting into spoiler territory. Or
there's a few things we can talk about.
Okay, all right, we'll get into that later.
Yeah. This doesn't specifically have to do with plot, but the cutest thing about this movie is Universal Studios just wants their own cinematic universe. And that's what this movie is launching. This movie is just a catalyst.
I keep hearing that word. Universe.
It's called, I think it's like Universal Dark or Dark Universe or something like that. They go out of their way to introduce characters that don't need to be in the movie at all. Case in point, Dr. Jekyll.
What the hell?
Well, that was gonna be my spoiler.
Yeah, it's not really a spoiler because he introduces himself right at the beginning as, "Hey, I'm Dr. Jekyll." He's just in there.
So right away you're like, no. Oh my God! Why is Dr. Jekyll in this movie?
We got more movies on the way.
They wrote this script and realized about halfway through that mummies are boring. And they're like, oh shit, what else do we got?
The rules of this movie were never established. The rules
Thank you for bringing that up. I wanted to talk about that.
The rules behind the mummy character's powers were never established. So she can just teleport.
That's a huge problem when you have a character like this.
Yeah.
If you don't establish rules, then you can do anything, which means that I immediately am set out of the movie. I'm like, I don't care. Now you're attacking a city. That's when she blows up the city, or basically goes apeshit on the city. You're like, wait, you can do that the whole time? Why the hell do you need the god of death? Just do your thing.
Yeah, it's really not established like what these characters can withstand. Tom Cruise gets the ever-loving shit kicked out of him several times this movie, and he's fine. There's literally one of my favorite shots is like when the mummy girl she quickly punches him, and I guess the way it was edited, he hits the corner of a table, but it's just it's so quick. Yeah, it's so funny.
Bam, it's so and it flips over it, and you're like, that's a fun one.
He just stops completely.
It's like a rag doll. Oh, that's right. Yeah, he goes
oh. Yeah. I guess one of the central aspects of the mummy's powers is that she keeps drawing Tom Cruise to her. So one of my it was a really funny moment to me when Tom Cruise is driving his female friend. I forget her name. I'll throw her on the screen. Maybe. They're driving around. They're trying to get away from the mummy. And as he's talking, he's like, "Oh, she has the power to draw me back." And they literally go in a circle. Yeah. He's like, "Oh my God, I brought you right back to her."
Right back.
I was like, "Wow, how scary."
There was definitely a moment there where I was like, "She's not who she says she is," and I was right. I thought she was going to be the villain. Who was no, I want this. I want this to happen. And then it turns out they're like, oh no, she's not a villain. But instead we've kind of got Dr. Jekyll who's a villain, but he's not a villain. They do a very bad job of explaining what he wants.
Yeah, nobody has clear motivation.
His big thing is he's like, no, we're going to go through the ritual. We're going to bring in this devil, and then we're just going to kill him.
Yeah. I don't know what the end game of any of the characters' motivations were, because the whole story is that the mummy character wants to stab Tom Cruise with this gemstone infused dagger, and then he just does it. He just does it himself. He does it to himself. So you're like, I thought he was about to break it, and she's like, wait. You could have the power to bring back your friend who died. Yeah. And so he's like, all right, cool. And then you're like, well, you just did. You just did what she...
But then when he does it, she's scared.
She's like, oh no, yeah.
I was like, that's what you wanted.
What's happening?
I'm like, so you like you said, there's no rules. So every character is like, I think I want this. I don't know what it'll do. But let's just do it. Yeah. And I don't know. It was weird.
And there's no lesson to be learned. Again, after Tom Cruise stabs himself, we don't really understand what his powers are.
So he's basically, I guess they were saying that okay, so now this devil type character is in him, but because he has a soul, which I guess is his character's arc, he's like, no, he starts out as an asshole who doesn't care about anybody, but now he's got a heart, which I guess he kind of did the whole time. I don't know. He wasn't a dick throughout the movie. He was a pretty flat character. So now because of that, he has basically he has the devil powers, but he has control over himself that he's constantly battling. So in a way, he's becoming his own. He's become his own Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
I just know they're probably gonna make more, and I don't know how.
Well, exactly. At that point, it's not a mummy movie.
Yeah.
And as you said it perfectly. And I said at the end of the movie, I was like, we just saw a superhero origin story.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's everywhere. What were the implications? What was at risk? What was at stake?
I mean, man.
What did the characters learn? New Girl guy comes back to life.
Yeah,
and,
he brings his friend back to life, which was nice.
yeah. I'm just gonna straight up check my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything I want to talk about.
I'm gonna check too. This is very unprofessional, guys. We're going off the rails.
So Nick was the main character. I already forgot. As we just call him Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise. Oh, my hot take. I have a hot take I wrote. It's basically that with the lack of rules plus incredible effects equals who cares? It's awesome, like Transformers.
Yeah.
So just go watch your shitty fucking movie.
This is what
and your awesome effects.
Yeah, this is what this movie has done to us. We're just gonna, we just gotta pull out our notes and read down because it's just I walked away with nothing. My brain was more or less because it was just such an empty movie. Nothing really going on there.
There's not much else to say about it. Like it ruined itself. It's like it tripped.
What?
Are you really surprised?
Yeah.
Let's talk about an original movie.
We got another original movie. Here we go. We're first original movie of the month. And it's A24. We love talking about A24.
I don't know. I'm a little confused. How do we approach this? We should start drinking it. Logan,
Yeah.
why the lights off?
Because it's scary.
Is it?
Yeah. Are You Afraid of the Dark? Remember that show?
It's the middle of the day, Logan.
I guess so. Yeah.
And what about
Oh right. Yeah. I guess we got.
kind of thirsty?
Yeah. All right.
All right,
Give me 1 sec.
sure.
A24, you did it again. Oh man. what
I'm
was it?
glad we're on the
Yeah.
same side. I was like, what if he hates this one? That'd be funny.
No man, I
I'm
can't. I love A24 so much.
The wannabe film student in me was like,
I
I understand
yeah.
now.
I love A24.
I love this movie, and I want to start off by saying that I know it got a lot of bad reviews.
It did.
It was like 1.5 stars or whatever, and I walked in and be like, oh man. But I will say this: after seeing it, I totally get it.
Yeah.
I know why you hated it.
Yeah.
But we're gonna get into why I think you should give it a chance.
We were talking about this the other day, but again, A24. It's so much more about the experience. It's such a you're gonna see a different movie than you're used to, and if you go in knowing that, you're gonna have a very different experience. And my favorite thing after seeing this movie, aside from the movie itself, was watching people walk out. So many like young couples. Like this movie is so fun because the visceral reaction of some dude thinking he's taking his date out to like a fun horror romp and then getting film school 101.
They're like, he's gonna get that shock value, get his arm around his girl.
Yeah.
And they're like,
and instead they got like an art film, and it's so funny. I love it.
Is it a masterpiece of brilliance? No.
No, but
is it a study in how to portray emotion? Absolutely. And I think this movie, I would like to say maybe A24 movies are less about the story and more about the experience. And so this becomes less of necessarily a coherent story from beginning to end, and more of a chapter in the day of these characters. We get to experience them through the way that they frame this movie up. So, Logan, why don't you tell us what the hell happened in this movie?
I don't want to delve too much into general plot because I think if you haven't seen this movie, you should leave going completely cold.
That's just a good point. So even knowing what the movie's about in the beginning is still kind of a spoiler.
Exactly.
Which is why people don't like it. Because they're like, then let's talk about the advertising. Because I felt like the way that they marketed this movie was very wrong.
Yeah, the trailers were all very cryptic, and I think that was probably the best way to advertise it. But they focused on one element of the story, and that's in this house they have a door that they never open, but one night it opens.
And you're not allowed to go out at night.
You kind of expect
It's
that to
not
happen
allowed.
earlier in the movie, but it's not until actually much later you find out when you see the whole movie.
Right.
So you think it's going to be this very glass bottle story where everyone's in this room and they're all going to like kind of 12 Angry Men style battle it out and figure out who opened the door.
Like the mystery novel.
Yeah, all
one of
that
the
kind of
killers is here.
but it definitely has that feeling to it. I feel like right off the bat we should do a spoilers warning because it's really difficult to talk about this movie
This
without.
movie is nothing but spoilers.
Yeah.
So
it's-
I would just give it a chance.
Yeah.
Go watch it.
if you're interested,
keep an
in
open
all-
mind.
Yeah,
This is a movie about the experience. Turn the lights off.
yeah.
Tell your friend to stop tweeting.
All right, Dad.
And watch the fucking movie. Like, watch the movie.
Yeah.
And really pay attention because it's about ambience and not necessarily about what's going on in the story.
So basically, you got your main characters are, what is it, like Paul, Sarah, and Travis. Paul's the dad.
This is our family.
Yeah, that's the family.
And the movie
focusing.
starts with them basically putting the grandfather down because he has some ailment.
He has a sickness.
He's a sickness. He's got some boils on him, and
they're all wearing gas masks. And like,
Oh,
what an
that's right.
amazing beginning too.
Yes,
I was
yes.
so like, okay, somebody's immediately dying. There's immediately stakes. We
And-
understand the implications
and they're
of this
afraid,
world.
yeah.
So you know that there's some weird sickness out there, and then the movie, it's basically a movie about paranoia, about what is out there. Nobody knows what's out there. A classical horror, you never find out what it is. So that's one of the big questions I think you walk away from,
Right.
or walk away with this movie is, what is it? You're never given the answer to that question.
But I think that's what makes the mystery so much better in a situation like this, because you don't have a tangible villain.
Yeah.
So you're constantly in fear of something that you don't know or you don't
Exactly.
understand, which
Yeah.
is what. So basically, we're experiencing the movie just like the characters are.
Yeah.
They're afraid of they don't know what.
Whatever it is,
and
that's
so
out
are
there. Essentially, the movie moves on. Another family ends up at the house with our main family because they need food and water. So immediately, the world building is set up where like the entire world is experiencing whatever it is, and people are getting sick and need refuge and like need food and water.
But of course, there's a long scene of distrust that they have to get through, and
Yeah.
it's just wonderful watching the slow progression of that.
Yeah. So I guess just to jump into the aspects of the movie that were really interesting for me, I think we don't really have a main character in this movie. I think you're led to believe that it's Paul, the dad.
The dad,
but I
yeah,
personally
that's-
think that it's Travis.
Travis.
And I loved his character because the entire movie, nobody listens to him at all. He's always trying to speak up and say like, how about we work together in this way? And they're like, no, we need separate rooms. Like,
You're
we
the
need to-"
child.
Yeah.
It's almost like, in a way, it's an interesting coming of age story. He's basically like, I don't have any power.
Yeah.
He's still treated like a child, and he's obviously very sexually, starting to grow sexually.
Yeah.
So, when there's a new woman introduced, obviously he's like, I'm interested.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird, I don't want to call them. That's the thing. The
It's
movies
not
are very
really-
clear.
yeah.
Are they dreams? Are they daydreams? Are
So
they
that's-
symptoms?
Right. So that's something that I also want to touch on. Like I was saying with the jump scare, the first jump scare that you have is in Travis's dream after his grandfather dies.
Right. He sees the father. That's right.
And one of my, it was what made this movie so terrifying for me, and why I believe Travis is the main character, is because every time he goes to sleep, you're stuck there with him. You're always in his dream. You always see it. And it's terrifying because in his first dream, there was a terrifying jump scare. And you're just like, every time he closes his eyes, you're just there like, fuck,
You're like,
here we go
no,
again.
now what?
No, I
How are we
don't
getting to the
want to
next
see
day?
this.
Yeah.
And he always ends up like outside in the dark, and you're like, what is going on?
Then there was the woman. She kind of just climbs onto him and then
Yeah.
like spits this black goo all over him, which
Yeah.
is like it's like very pretty. I don't know. It seems like, why was that? And then you're like, is it metaphorical?
Yeah.
Is it is maybe his brain manifesting
Is
something?
this,
that's
or
going
is
on with
this all
him?
actually happening?
Or is it? Yeah, you're never
You
really
have
not
no
sure.
idea.
And
Yeah.
and this, I guess, the main point with a movie like this, I like movies that make you ask questions.
Yeah, exactly. And I was going to say that the main questions that I walked away with were, again, like, what is it? Who opened the door?
Yeah,
And-
we never find out who
you
opened that
never
door.
find out. And
I think it was Travis.
my only theory is that Travis was,
In
like,
his-
every dream we saw actually happened.
He did it,
Yeah.
and he didn't know why. And again, I think those are more. Maybe those are like symptoms of the disease.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's just jump to the end and talk about why people hate this movie.
Okay, so this movie definitely has a bit of, I don't want to call it an art house ending, but it's definitely not your traditional.
It's kind of,
It's a little bit of an art house ending. So everyone's terrified of becoming sick, and then the movie turns into, again, I think this movie might be touching on a lot of like current age political issues,
Yeah,
because
I suppose
it turns into an us versus them movie.
Mm-hmm.
After the door opens, nobody can trust anybody, so they separate rooms completely. They're like, why don't the three, like, our respective families, we just lock ourselves into our rooms and we don't leave for like 3 days or something like that.
yeah. So that way, at least we'll
Yeah.
know. We'll keep ourselves isolated. It's a very smart. The character of Paul is great
Mm-hmm.
because as aggressive as he is, he's very sensible and he's very willing to he keeps an open mind, and he's willing to kind of like try something a little out of his comfort zone.
One of my favorite moments in the movie, he's so easily swayed when it comes to if he doesn't trust somebody, because when they pick up, it's the dad of the other family. He says they were staying with his brother. He's like, my brother was sick, we had to leave. There's one line of dialogue where the guy's like, he's talking about his family, and Paul's like, oh, are you an only child? And the other guy's like, yeah, I grew up an only child. And then there's a moment of silence, and Paul's like, you said you were staying with your brother.
And this is when Paul opened up to him by giving him this alcohol, the whiskey. Yep. So they're drinking together now.
Yeah.
And now he's
so it's
like,
this like buddy moment, and he's like, and you're not. I don't think you're really meant to feel the tension there, but there's so much tension in that scene.
And then, but you're also like, is he lying?
Right. Exactly.
He could very well be lying.
But he says like, oh, well, it was my brother-in-law, and he felt like a brother to me, which is something that anybody would say.
And he just said it pretty quickly. So you're like, I could believe that.
Exactly. That's something. But you're in this world where you're like.
You plant the seed of doubt.
Like, is he wrong? Like,
you plant the seed, and now you're like, well.
So you're on both sides, and you become this like us versus them mentality. The movie, it gets you.
So Travis and his family go to their room, and we go with them.
Yeah.
And the movie does, again, like on other movies, you might cut to the other room. We don't see what's going on in the other room. So we only see the movie through our main character's eyes.
Yep.
And so again, because of that,
Travis,
we make assumptions just like they do.
Yeah.
So the very end, or the reason everyone kind of stops, is like everything kind of happens very quickly. They end up killing the entire family.
Yeah.
And then
which is such a terrifying moment.
It's a horrifying moment. It's everything culminates very quickly, so you're not really sure what's going on. And then they kind of cut away. Travis has like another nightmare type thing where he's sick.
He's got boils all over.
And it looks like a dream, but then you're like, is it a dream? And then next thing we know, the final scene is Paul and Sarah just distraught, looking at each other across the table, and the seat that Travis would normally occupy is empty.
And they're both sick too.
To be fair, I totally get why people don't like this movie. It doesn't. It's not what you went to the theater to see.
Yeah.
But even I will be like, as much as I liked it, maybe there's a little too much open-ended questions.
Yeah.
It's almost like, was it a good screenplay, or did you just not know what to do?
Right. Exactly.
So at a certain point, you're like, don't abuse that privilege.
I don't know if it's because I'm not smart, but I think because I couldn't figure out what the message of the movie was supposed to be. That's where I was left. That's the one question where I was like, I wish. Like, I mean, I can come to my own conclusions, of course.
Sure.
It's the terrors of like, again, us versus them mentality.
It's about paranoia.
Yeah. It's not your average horror movie, and in that respect, it's a great horror movie.
Yeah.
And I think,
I like
definitely.
psycho tension in dialogue and character development is far scarier to me than any creature would ever be.
Yeah, exactly.
So we made it. This is the moment we've been waiting for a couple months now.
I know. Very excited about this. Very, very excited.
Baby Driver.
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright
directed.
An original movie.
Yeah.
Let's get
right into it.
No shit! This movie was awesome!
It was so good.
I mean, we knew going in that it was going to be good.
We hoped going in that it was going to be good, and it was affirmed.
Yeah, I suppose that was a hope, but I'm still kind of like, we're going to like it.
Is it perfect? No.
No,
perfect,
by any means it's not perfect, but is it an original story?
It's an original
that held
story.
my interest?
Yeah.
What happened in this movie?
I don't want to get too into synopsis, but we've got Baby, and he's a really good driver with he's got, I guess, severe tinnitus and is always listening to music. And this movie is a big music video, in a way.
Yes, I'm glad you said that right away.
It's, what, something that I see a lot in trailers these days is they sync up the music from the trailer to the movie. And usually that doesn't work for me, but that was what this entire movie did. Like the entirety of it did on purpose.
It was almost like a trailer / music video.
Yeah.
But this is very much like Edgar Wright's style. He's always synced up sound effects and music with what's going on in the scene, but it's very important in this movie specifically.
The sound design is like a character in itself in this movie, and it's, oh god, it's amazing.
We had talked, when we were walking in the theater, I was like, I imagine, like, this is a movie where you need the sound design editor, the cinematographer, the storyboard artist, the director, and the writer, which was Ed Wright for both, all in the same room, because, like, I don't know. It was like building this movie from the inside out.
Yeah.
Like, how did they do it?
Yeah.
Because you're developing a scene which depends on the music, which depends on the actor's movements, which
Right.
depends on timing.
Exactly.
And you're like, you need to know which song you're going to play. Like, everything about this movie had to be planned out perfectly before they executed every scene. And that's something I'm a huge fan. Edgar Wright's pretty much one of my favorite directors. I always,
And I think this is Edgar Wright's reprise. This is his comeuppance.
he's like, look what else I can do.
Yeah.
Because it's about sound, and it's about character, and melding the two so flawlessly.
Like not only is it like really well written, but the entire experience as an audio visual experience, it's amazing. It's not just
fun.
a good story.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's fun, and exactly. So it really hits both those points. It hits the yes. You get a great story that you're interested in, you're compelled in doing. But even if you didn't really care for the story, you're bouncing, you're laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
You're just like, this is just good. It's just a fun romp, and it takes you on a ride.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our characters. We've got Ansel Elgort, who I suppose
great
it's a
Yeah.
great name. We're gonna start hearing a lot more about him because he did a great job in his role.
Yeah.
And so here he is. His character is this free-forming dude. He's obviously a nice, casual dude.
Yeah.
And they established several times very early on how sharp he is. One of the things in this movie that really stuck out to me was how often people wanted to challenge him.
I got a question, Doc. Why'd I believe phones over here heard the goddamn word you said? He ain't even listening.
Visual storytelling is the best kind of storytelling, and Edgar Wright is really good at that. And this movie exemplifies it perfectly because we'll be hearing music and watching the character, and nothing else is going on. But even early on, how many times our character starts walking very chill, and then starts breaking out in a dance, whatever song he's moving to, and experiences the environment around him, and we get to know his character through that.
Yeah.
We don't have to hear a word out of his mouth, and we've already got a good idea of who we're dealing with. And it's that kind of visual storytelling that's so compelling.
Yeah, the visual part of the beginning of this movie is really important. They set up everything you need to know very, very quickly in terms of why Baby is working with Kevin Spacey, like his backstory, why he's always listening to music. I guess the only things they never really set up are how he got like good at driving. I guess it's just he's just a prodigy when it comes to driving.
I think it was
the
just
skill
that
he has.
started when he was young, and he just got I feel like almost out of necessity after working for Spacey.
I mean, that also has to do with the origin story of why he's in this deal with Kevin Spacey. He basically stole a car that Kevin Spacey owned that was full of money from a job.
And he ditched it.
And he ditched it. And
so he's basically so after 10 years,
repaying,
he's paying him off.
Yeah, so they set that up well, but I think the only thing they don't set up is why Baby lives with Joe, an elderly black deaf man. I don't know if they ever actually explain that.
No, I think he was. I think they kind of was a throwaway line where he basically was like, they don't. I guess it's kind of spoiler, but it's not really that spoilery. They basically alludes. He's got kind of flashbacks very early on about this like the accident that made him lose his hearing,
and his parents,
and his parents. So you're like, they don't come around and say it, but you're like, well, obviously his parents died in that accident, and he lost his hearing. But so I think that he calls him his foster dad. But here's the thing: Joe is now very old. Baby is not. I think that when Joe took custody of him, he was very in control of his faculties. Which is fine. I think that's all. I really think that's all it comes down to. But I think you're right. They don't explain it, but it's one of those things where you're just like, I don't care. But I want to talk about how amazing a choice that was to have a deaf father character. So their dialogue is all silent. It's all done through music and dance, and he's talking in very basic sign language, but you can tell some of the sign language isn't actual sign language. I mean, I might be wrong by this. I don't know sign language, but I felt like some of it was their own language.
Yeah.
I thought that early on it was very clear that some of the movements they were doing were more like, I understand what you mean because we've been living together for so long.
Yeah.
Maybe that was just me being hopeful of a lovely relationship between these characters, but it felt more personal.
Very connected.
Than just like a sign language, just random sign language.
Yeah.
So and so like he would actually touch the speaker, the old man, and listen and feel the bass and listen to music that way.
Right.
And it was fucking beautiful, man.
Yeah.
It was the interactions
the
between these characters were beautiful.
I guess let's get into character then.
Okay.
So obviously Baby, very interesting, mysterious character. But my favorite characters in the movie were all of the criminals that Kevin Spacey worked with. You have John Hamm, who was one of my favorite performances in this movie.
He's just a great actor in general.
He's so good.
But he does an awesome job.
He was so good in this movie. He
kind of plays every gambit of emotions.
He plays one of those characters that, and they explain this in the movie, one of those characters where he seems very fun and easygoing, but if you cross him in one way, I mean, it's the Marty McFly chicken trope. Where if you set him off in one way,
super cool, but
he will fucking murder you.
He's gonna destroy you. So but he becomes he's very early on established as the friend.
Yeah.
He's he's a hard guy. He'll do what he needs to do.
His name's literally Buddy.
He's Buddy, which obviously is no accident. Edgar Wright does not make. There's no coincidences in this movie.
Yeah.
And so he and his girl are constantly making out and talking about what they're gonna do together with all the money they're making and blah blah. And even Baby even uses one of his lines that he spoke to her when they're in an elevator. He uses it later when he's trying to he's talking to this lady.
Finest whining and dining. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the finest and winest and dining I've ever had. Sorry, going on a tangent. I love
the characters. They're just really every character, and this has to do with the story as well. Every character fills a very necessary role, and that's even established by one of the characters through dialogue, which is Jamie Foxx as Bats. So Jamie Foxx is part of this one job that they're gonna do. He's like, what's the problem with Baby? Why is he always listening to music and everything? And he's like, does he have mental problems? Because I'm the one with mental problems on the team. We already have somebody like that.
Yeah.
You have just this whole gambit of people who never go outside of the zone that they're supposed to.
No, they understand their roles. There's a very humanizing element to all of these characters. All of them. None of them really have, they're all really great. Because a lot of times you have these, Kung Fu movies are a good example of this. Where one character is just oh, I'm the drunk, but it turns out you'll never be able to punch me because I'm just superhero. You know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff. This movie doesn't have that. There's a lot of vulnerabilities, which I think make the characters so much more believable. And they even set up every plan has a plan. And there's always going to be that one thing. Oh no, something went wrong. You're always waiting for that. And anytime it goes something is a plan in a movie, you're like, where's the one thing that's going to throw them off?
What's going to go wrong?
But in this movie, it's not even just one thing. It's actually a series. They're constantly adapting to things that are going wrong in their lives, and it kind of shows the human size of their character. Jamie Foxx, of course, being the most important part of that, where he is literally the wild card.
He's the wild card. Yeah, he fills the wild card role. And you're never quite sure what he's going to do.
And so because of that, it's very hard to predict.
Yeah.
You get to the point where you're like, oh, I know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx is completely irresponsible and very different. Almost at a point you're like, what is his character's purpose? Is it really just to be crazy and be maybe a strength, maybe a point of light? I have no idea. But I just realized that Bats stabbed spelled backwards. I don't know if that's important.
Probably not.
I don't know if that's important, but I don't know. You're right, it's weird. He's he would probably think of that shit.
I don't think he stabs anybody in the
movie.
No,
but he doesn't, but he probably would.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of guns in this movie. They like guns.
I think we're just going off of it's difficult to talk about movies that you like.
We've had this problem a lot. Anytime we really like a movie, we're just
this is the first from me in a while. To get ourselves back down to grounds, I want to talk more about the music in the movie. And so, like I was saying, the editing is all to the beat of whatever music is happening. And let's pull a film term out. Almost everything, all the sounds of this movie are diegetic. And diegetic basically means I'll do a nice little slick, fade in. Diegetic basically means what the audience is hearing, the characters on screen can also hear. So all of the music is actually playing through either Baby's earbuds or on the car stereo and everything. And one thing I was really hoping they would do, because I think that's something that we all do in our lives. Sometimes I'll go to the gym and I'll put on a Run the Jewels track or whatever, and you're running to the actual beat, but then it gets fucked up. You skip miss a step or something,
trip,
and then the rhythm's off. Yeah. And this movie actually kind of addressed that. There's a moment when he puts a Baby puts on a song, and they're about to run out and do this heist, and he's like, wait, no, they trip up a bit, and he's like, I gotta start the song over.
Hold on.
Yeah. So it's
and they wait. They're like, what? He's like, just give me a second.
Yeah. And
okay, go.
and it makes perfect sense because it's really this movie is all about groove,
timing,
and what happens when you lose your groove. And everything gets fucked up when that happens.
It's true, and they do they prove that a few times in the movie. Concurrently to that, when he doesn't have the earbuds in, we can usually, even if it's subtle, we can hear the ringing in his ears.
Yeah, the movie actually starts with ringing and then it stops. Very
Edgar Wright, because he did that, especially in again Hot Fuzz. I like to reference that movie. It's one of the best ever.
Yeah.
It starts out with this the history of the siren.
Yeah.
In the opening title crawl, or not even the title. It's like when the brands are coming up.
Right.
And so this one, starts right away. I was just like, is that ringing?
Yeah. Yeah, guess what? We're in an Edgar Wright movie. So
even before I saw the first character, I was like, oh, this is great.
I can only think of like one or two moments where the sound isn't diegetic, but I'm pretty sure everything that you hear is something that the characters.
I want to point out because I didn't notice this until we hung it up earlier.
Yeah.
This is a great. I just love the poster of the gun and but look, it's sound waves.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it, so I was like, oh shit. How about that?
It's all very clever.
Everything is done on purpose, and I think that's so refreshing to see.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a throwaway like our show is, where we're just making this up as we go along.
Yeah.
This is written on purpose, and it's really good.
I don't even think we need to get into spoilers.
I don't want
to.
to.
I don't even want to.
I don't really, because I don't think the spoilers define
It's
the movie.
not. Yeah. It's not
the
anything.
style of the movie that makes
Yeah.
it so poignant.
Mm.
It's about the timing.
Yep.
It's about the acting.
It's about the soundtrack too. The soundtrack is expansive. I mean, just on a personal level, when you hear a song in a movie that you really enjoy, my favorite, my favorite Beck song ever is Deborah, and that's like a plot point in the movie. Is when the character Deborah is like,
So
I
of
don't
course
have.
he meets this girl. I guess that's one of the big points. Is
Yeah.
really because that's in a way she throws off everything because he
Yeah.
could have lived his life normally. But he basically meets this girl at a diner. He falls in love with her, and if it wasn't for her, honestly, I think he would have just kind of gone on normally doing what he was doing.
It's
I don't
more
think it
about.
would have affected
It's
all
more
that much.
about. It's. I mean, I guess
It would
you're right.
have. He was still battling his own morals.
Yeah, and
because they were forcing him to do stuff that was necessarily that
he was
not
being being forced into the situation by Kevin Spacey, and the whole beginning of the movie is like just one more job, and I'm done. And then he does it, and Kevin Spacey's like, "Did you think I was done with you?"
So then, you know what? In that case,
Yeah.
I actually would like to get in spoilers because
Okay.
now I just want to rap.
All right.
I want to rap about the parts of the movies that maybe weren't that kind of bug me. Little
Yeah.
things that are kind of like I don't know about that thing, or we can just talk about character. But Jesus Christ, go see it.
Go see this movie.
And it will still be in theaters when this goes up.
Yeah.
So get there quickly. I don't know what
it's
Edgar Wright's
so good.
amazing.
It's honestly one of the best of the year.
Absolutely.
Do not miss this.
So I want to talk about Kevin Spacey's character because my biggest point of contention in the movie is him. I don't
Really?
understand him. They make him very clear. It seems like they make very very clear early on who he is and what he stands for.
Yeah.
He's a businessman who wants money.
Mm-hmm.
He knows who to trust, and he knows what his business is.
Yeah.
And that's it. And we trust him for that. And and he's a strong character that way. We never even question once. We're just like, I don't know. Even I think maybe even if they just showed Kevin Spacey, as audience members, we're all like, well, that's Kevin Spacey. Clearly, he knows everything.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
there's definitely a trust that comes with his face. That you're just like,
he's very typecast.
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's Frank Underwood basically on screen up there.
Yeah.
So, but what bugged me, I guess, was that when now again in the movie when baby's basically crossing the line, but it doesn't happen in any meticulous way, which I'm fine with. Again, this is it shows the vulnerabilities of the character, where you expect him to have some grand plan where he doesn't. He's literally flying by the seat of his pants. He's trying to escape and get out of this horrible situation and these horrible people that he's associated himself with. After he kills Jamie Foxx's character Bats in an epic way, I was like, whoa! Like in the theater.
Big spoiler there.
Well, we're in spoilers.
I know we're in spoilers. Yeah, but I'm saying that's a big moment when he kills.
That's a great moment. But it's almost like it's so funny because if anything, I almost felt like there could have been this reversal where like Buddy turns out to be, which he does he gets a little crooked, but only because he loses his girl because of something Baby did.
Yeah.
But Buddy starts to be the corrupted one when Bats turns out to maybe be the friendlier one where he's like I'm a wild card, but I know you're a good guy and I know.
Well, I think there's
a lost opportunity there a little bit.
Well, I think that's where character arc comes in because Baby at the beginning of the movie is just very carefree, very by the flow person. He's very easygoing, but he slowly has to turn into a criminal in a way. And he was never a criminal before. He just drove. By definition,
But
sure,
he
he was
was
a
a
criminal.
criminal.
By definition, he was, but he never did anything himself that would have been deemed
I guess
super
so.
criminal.
One of the things that bugged me then was also that like all of a sudden we're catching up with him at the very end of his 10-year career.
Yeah.
This is the first time he's been presented with times when people might have got killed because of a thing he did.
That's also,
because it did seem a little odd that all of a sudden people are about to get shot. That never happened before.
That's also,
You know
I
what I
think,
mean?
I think that's something they touch on with Kevin Spacey's character. I think because Bats is our wild card, I think Kevin Spacey is a person where in his organization he doesn't settle for people dying in these missions. Like, he will probably has a rule where it's like, if you can avoid killing people, don't. So I can see where that might be reasonable, that Baby has never encountered a situation where somebody got
So you're
killed.
saying that maybe the Bats character
I
being the
Bats
wild
was
card
the first one.
is what changed everything.
Exactly,
You're like you're
yeah.
going too far, Frank Underwood.
Yeah.
Stop. His name was Doc in the movie.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
called him Doc.
Yeah.
I didn't forget.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, like, Bat's whole thing is, like, if you meet him and you cross him, literally in any way, he'll kill you.
He'll just kill you. But what I like about that is it's believable because a lot of they'll put a lot of movie thugs who say shit like that and they monologue.
Yeah,
And then
but
there's
he follows
through
immediately.
And
Like, he
so you
will-
are actually
yeah.
afraid of his character.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of tension that's derived because of even just the way he talks to you.
Yeah.
Because you're like, where are you going with this? Are you trying to start shit or what?
Yeah.
Like he is very well. But I love that. Jamie Foxx killed it in this movie.
Yeah,
I just love
think everybody.
everyone did. I wasn't disappointed with anyone's performance at all. But I especially like Jamie's character a lot.
Yeah.
As much as you don't like. Well, I don't. He was an asshole. He was a terrible person.
You want him to die. Yeah.
But you want to see him in the movie. You're like,
Right.
I get. It's like a reality TV show.
Yeah.
You're like, these people are terrible, but I kind of want to see who the guy marries. You know, that kind of they bait you. They bait you in that way. So that's all I wanted to talk about. It was like in the end. There's a lot of weird, seemingly role reversals because when obviously Baby botches the job and everyone dies, but when he goes to see Doc, he's not like super pissed and ready to kill him. He's almost defending. He's like, whatever, I'm done. We're done. I was like, really? I thought if anyone, he threatened him before to break his legs and kill his family, but now he's just gonna be like, we're done. I'm out.
Well, he was never.
It just felt weird. I don't know.
He was never
That didn't make any sense
direct.
to me.
He was never direct about it. Kevin Spacey's character was never like, I dislike you as a person. Whereas at one moment in time, everybody else, Bats, John Hamm, and John Hamm's girlfriend, they all crossed Baby, being like, we will stop you from doing what your personal goal is. Whereas Kevin Spacey was just like, you're a good driver. I need you to drive.
That's true, and actually, now thinking about it, going back, there was actually a very father-like relationship that he almost had with him,
Yeah.
where like. Maybe that's why, because everyone keeps, again, I talked about how everyone keeps challenging Baby, and Doc just kind of has this
He's the only one
like
that
proud
trusts,
smile
yeah.
on his face. He's like, watch
Yeah.
how good he is.
Yeah.
So he's almost like, I trust him, but that also makes me good by proxy, because I hire the best.
Yeah. Again, everybody feels their role. Like,
Right.
Doc is the lawful evil, I guess, if you had
Yeah,
to,
lawful evil would be
you
a
had
way
to
to put it. I
organize
like
him,
that.
and then
I
you
like
got
that.
Bats as the chaotic evil. If you don't play Dungeons and Dragons, maybe I'll put up a fun little graph. of-
There's memes for this shit.
Yeah.
I've seen that. You can do it for just about any show. I don't know. I think we're gushing at this point. We're kind
This
of
is gonna be the hardest review to edit.
we're making it tired.
I have to go home and edit.
We're
this.
making a tired point. You know, it's just.
If
I think
we-
at this point we're just talking about how much
yeah.
we love this movie.
It's
I'm
so
gonna go
good.
see it again.
I already have
probably
plans
this
to
weekend.
see it again. Yeah, definitely. Just go see it.
Check it out and please support more original stories. Stop going to see crap like the movie.
We're sorry if we rambled, but we can't.
I'm not sorry. It's the point of the show. In
Yeah.
fact, I'd rather spend 40 minutes talking about this movie than the rest of the schlock.
That's true. That's a good point. So that's all, folks. That's the month of June. It
was a great month,
What a
and
treat it was.
It was. I enjoyed this month.
Yeah.
As shitty as The Mummy may have been, and I think that, like, generally speaking, we saw some decent movies this month.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah.
summer for you. I mean, my biggest disappointment, if anything, was how many movies that we didn't get to see. There's so many movies that come out during these summer months. Some art house films that you pointed out. The Middleman, I wanted to see.
the
That's
Middleman with Jim O'Hare from Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
That looks
and
really
Beatrice at dinner. We didn't get a chance to see that. I'd like to talk about that maybe, but I don't know. Check it out. But
Yeah.
So what's happening in July? Oh wait.
No. We need to pick a
I
winner.
need to pick a winner.
But-
I wonder who won.
Like it's any discussion, obviously it's Baby Driver.
It's pretty clear what we liked.
We even we knew that we saw it together. We both knew that we loved it.
But let's
It
be
was
honest.
just- oh my
I'm
God.
sorry. I don't give a shit how much of a comic book fan you are. If you look at these movies as a structural standpoint,
Yeah.
Baby Driver's a work of art.
It's so good.
It's a work of
so
art,
much-
and everything
it's
else is like-
honestly again. It's,
Either it's okay, but dude,
of the movies we've seen all year, it's up in my all-time favorites. So
the
far,
only
it's-
we're just happy that Get Out isn't the only one we have to
exactly.
hold above our heads
We
at this
love
point.
Get Out. We love Baby Driver. Those are the big
That's
two.
pretty much it. Yeah.
So what's our prize? What's our trophy for Baby Driver?
Well, I still have some of this sandwich left. So,
Half-eaten sandwich.
Half-eaten
I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
too
Baby
bad.
Driver. I'm sorry, Edgar Wright.
we're working on it.
Yeah.
I'm going to fix this.
This is like our whole bit.
Give
our
me
whole
another
joke.
minute.
Is that
Give me
we,
another
like,
month.
We have like we have a trophy system. We have to give the winning movie a trophy. So we always pick last minute.
The bread is great.
So Baby Driver wins
No
June
shit.
and wins the half-eaten sandwich.
So I want to talk about, because we had talked about this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We were so excited about having a new original movie, obviously by Edgar Wright, one of our favorite directors. But we've got another original movie coming up next month that I'm pretty pumped about, and it
Which
seems pretty
is?
Tantalizing. Atomic Blonde with Charlize Theron.
Yep, Charlize Theron, our favorite Charlize.
She plays basically a femme fatale James Bond.
Exactly.
And a very confused James McAvoy follows her around. I can't wait.
I'm really excited.
It's
for
gonna be
Atomic
awesome.
Blonde. Yeah, we're
And there's a
definitely.
neon sign,
Yep.
like movie title. Oh god,
Definitely gonna talk about that one.
it's gonna be great.
I'm personally, I don't want to say I'm really excited, but because I'm reading the comics right now, Valerian, the new Luc Besson movie.
Luc Besson, you're
for
actually
the
reading.
Sun. I am reading the comics.
comic book?
Yeah, yeah.
It looks like a really cool sci-fi.
It's very fun.
It looks like they're actually taking the time and budget
Mm-hmm.
to build an amazing sci-fi world to put that in. So I'm pumped about
And
that.
obviously from Fifth Element fame, so there's a little bit on the
But
line
he's
here.
had a lot of problems though. He
Yeah.
ever since Fifth Element, he's struggled to do another good movie.
Yeah,
So
this will be interesting.
But also we've got Dane DeHaan as an action hero.
yeah, which we last saw him
Which is
in
weird. We saw him
A Cure for Wellness back in our February review.
Dane DeHaan
Holy
isn't an
shit.
action star. He's a short, whiny, creepy villain character.
Yeah, well, we'll get into the review, but Valerian is a much of an action hero, so.
Okay,
as a
good. Oh,
character.
so maybe
Yeah.
in the comics we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Oh yeah, big
That's
superhero
the
movie.
big superhero movie one that
of the
people have
month.
been talking about.
Every
but
month
not even
gets
just
one.
because, well, everyone gets one, but this is a big deal because Marvel is the first time Marvel's taking control of Spider-Man. So
Yeah.
I actually am excited about this movie. I think
Good.
I know you don't give a fuck about
Yeah, I
superheroes.
really
I'm
don't
excited
really
about it. I
don't
think it's gonna be
care.
great.
But we will see it.
And then finally, I don't know.
Maybe we'll do 3 movies next month. Dunkirk is coming out, the Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah.
But we kind of want to experiment with doing a shorter video, so we might just do 3.
If you hung in this long, I should say thank you
Yeah.
for watching.
Thank you so much for watching.
I know we ramble.
Yeah.
But we're having a lot of fun
We know
making
they're long
movies.
videos. I'm obviously going to edit shorter videos for each month that people can watch. The Too Long Didn't
Please
Watch.
stand by
So
for a shorter
if you
summarization.
if you missed May's Too Long Didn't Watch, please go check that out. I'm gonna edit a June Too Long Didn't Watch. It'll probably come out a week after this movie or this video. So stay tuned for that. And then we might actually do, I don't know if I should bring this up now, but we might do it in case you missed it on a movie that I'm really excited for, that I've been hearing about all year. It's Flying Lotus's Kuso.
All right.
Yeah, he's making this art house, fucked
You can
up
go
looking
talking about
movie.
that. And depending on if it's good.
Well, it's gonna, yeah.
If it's good, we'll do it in case you missed it. If I
Yeah.
hate it, then
Yeah, yeah.
then we're not
Then
gonna
we'll
talk
see,
about
but
it.
yeah.
In case you missed it, good.
Yeah,
Like, I don't-
yeah. So yeah, that's coming out and it looks fucked up. So we might talk about that.
I'm talking about that.
But anyway, so that was the month of June. Thank you so much for tuning in to Box Office Brews.
Please like and subscribe, and
Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought. If you disagree with us, let us know.
Yeah,
if you agree
please.
with us, let us know. Argue with us on the internet. We probably won't
We'd love
respond,
it.
but we would
Just
love
any
it.
comment at this
yeah,
point would be
just
lovely.
anything. You'll be our first.
you could say first on every one of our
Yeah,
videos.
yeah, that would make our day.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks so much. Stay tuned. We're trying to put out more videos. We're trying to do more to make this channel grow.
See you next month.
See you next month.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, I got the toothpick.
Me too. I think we're done.